But you'll be by then.
User in your channel started recording.
Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Britt McCoy.
Good evening, everyone.
Chris Scales.
Hey, Mike.
Greg Hectus.
Hey, guys.
Mason Stiver.
How we doing?
Tony Groves.
Evening, fellas.
And special guest, Dustin Kleba.
Hey, guys.
Hey, welcome. All right, well, welcome, Dustin. Thanks for joining us tonight on the iRacers Lounge. Let's get to know you a little bit. Tell us how you first learned about iRacing, and how did you hear about it initially?
Yeah, so I originally heard about it, it was probably around 2014 or 2015. I didn't really have a PC that could run it, so I just basically watched everyone else play it on YouTube. And eventually I saw that someone was running it off a Mac, so I was like, hey, what the heck, I'll try that. So it was probably summer 2015 or so. I decided to download it, give her a try, and my Mac ran it. It ran it, we'll put it that way. And then after a while, iRacing kind of stopped supporting the Mac without having boot camp or anything. So then I had to make the big purchase to get a gaming PC, and ever since then, I've been rocking and rolling.
All right, very good. Well, how often are you racing right now? Like how many times a week, and what series are you normally running?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the week and the time of year, really. Towards the end of the NASCAR season there.
Anybody that's watching right now, just searching for something.
Also doing their playoffs, so I was running.
You'll have it up in a sec.
Up to 4 or 5 times a week between running the league race and practicing and all that stuff. Now that it's kind of quote unquote off season, I've been doing maybe once a week if I'm lucky. Lately, it's been once every other week. Then I'd say on average, I'm probably pretty close to like 2-3 times a week. So I try to get in there as much as I can. I'm never racing as much as I want to because, real life stuff, but I try to as much as possible.
All right, very good. And are you part of a team, and do you do any leagues?
Yeah, sure. So I'm part of KPR Motorsports. It's me and 2 other guys, Tyson and Dakota. Right now we are in a Backwards Hat Association league. They run on Sunday nights and Monday nights. Trucks on Sundays, Xfinity on Mondays, if I remember right. We're actually doing some recruitment races now, actually. So if you want to come hang out with us, we'll have one this Sunday and Monday. But right now it's our off season, and then they basically run with the NASCAR schedule. So once NASCAR gets rolling, then we'll get rolling too.
All right, very good. I haven't heard of that one. Now, you mentioned KPR Motorsports. Now, we've talked about them before on our show. I believe it's because you guys met up in person, which is kind of a rarity for an iRacing team to actually get together in person, in real life, in one spot in this world. And so tell us about that experience.
Yeah, it was great, man. It's kind of weird how it all worked out. So the 3 of us, me, Tyson, and Dakota, when we first met on iRacing, we all got kind of recruited into the same league, and that's actually where I met Mason. And it turns out Tyson grew up or lives about 45 minutes or so away from where I grew up, which is in the middle of nowhere, South Dakota. So that was a weird thing there. And then Dakota was actually living in the same city that I was at the time, so also another weird thing. But yeah, actually I first met up with Dakota at one of the Kansas races because I go there 2 times a year, and he's from Kansas City, so we met up there. And then later that year I met with Tyson at the Knoxville Nationals. And then finally in this past fall race, the 3 of us finally all got together at the Kansas Speedway to watch a race there, and it was a blast, man. I mean, we've known each other for probably a year, almost 2 years now, I think. And I mean, just the amount of laps we've turned together, it feels like we've known each other forever. So it's pretty cool once you get a couple of guys that are so passionate about something together in person. It's a good time. So we had fun. Well, we're definitely gonna do it again.
Yeah, yeah, it worked out with three of you. Finally got all three together, and I think we've had a couple times on our team where one person has met one other person, but I don't think we've had more than that, right, guys?
I've met Tony.
Yeah, you guys met,
Yeah, I met David Hall.
and then
That might be
Chris
about
and
it.
David, and I think that's it.
And Dustin here said that he met me on iRacing there, but he actually wiped the floor with me in that league. Just to be clear.
Hey, the first couple of seasons it was pretty close, and then that last season, I mean, you made me work for it, so it was a good time.
All right, now looking at your stats right now, you're no slouch. Your oval percentage overall 5.7% on the win category, and dirt oval 5.8, dirt road 12.5. You have some pretty good stouts on the wins there. The good numbers.
Yeah, I gotta say the dirt road is a little skewed because I don't run much dirt road, and I think I just got lucky a couple of times. It's just got lucky in a couple of rooms where people are crashing out, and I just happened to. I mean, when that first came out, it was more about survival than it was skill.
It still is.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I've really had this mentality of just kind of surviving races, especially fixed races. I feel like they're more about survival than it actually is trying to outrun people. So been able to get lucky there for a while. I had a pretty good hot streak these past couple of months. It kind of caught me at a bad time. My I rating is taking a small plummet with a bad couple of races in a row, but hoping to get it back up here pretty soon.
All right, cool. Tell us about your hardware software setup. What kind of wheel pedals? How many monitors? Third-party software?
Yeah, so wheel, I'm just rocking the original G27. Hoping to upgrade here within a couple of months. We'll see what happens. But for pedals, I got the Thrustmaster T3 PAs, the ones that you can like invert between GT style and F1 style. Absolutely love them. Probably one of the best upgrades I've ever done. Just with the load cell brake, it really helps. I thought because I'm mostly road, I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal, but I was watching someone's podcast and they were kind of or YouTube video or podcast, I can't remember which one, but they were kind of explaining that mentally we're wired that our foot is more receptive to pressure and not length. So if you don't have that pressure to build up that muscle memory, it doesn't really do anything. So once I listened to that, I was like, that kind of makes sense. So got the load cell brake, and that after that helped me a ton. And then the next best thing after that is I got triple monitors. They're actually got pretty lucky. I'm an AV guy, so we just happen to have triple monitors in our storage that weren't being used for anything. So I just got some older Samsungs I just grabbed out of her storage and plugged them in, and away we go. And it was working pretty good. Um, yeah, other than that, PC wise, I have a Asus G11. Definitely could be upgraded here in a while. I sound like a real racer. I mean, I got all this nice stuff, but there's always more to get, So,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, that's what I'm rocking so far. We'll see what happens here in the future.
All right. Well, sounds like a good setup. All right, and then finally, what's your most memorable iRacing moment?
Most memorable is actually I don't know if I could pick one. One of them is beating Mason at the Quattros Championship in Homestead. That was a good one. Um, Another one I know that pops into mind is the first Road to Pro race last year. Me and my teammate Tyson were in it, and we took the strategy of just kind of hanging back the first three-fourths of the race. And I mean, we've done that multiple times. And usually, when you do that, you're either caught in someone else's wreck before, or you can even like make a move or anything. And we were like, you know what? We're just gonna try it, see what happens. and we just got lucky enough. We weaved through enough traffic. We got up to where we wanted to be, and there's a restart with like 2 to go, and we just happened to line up first and third, and I was able to push them to the win. And it was, even though I didn't win, I ended up getting 6 because I got wrecked out of 4. But just being able to push my teammate and have a plan actually come together and work was pretty sweet. And then probably my most recent one is I finally got my first NIS win at Homestead this last season. So getting to run 267 laps and ending it with a win was pretty nice.
That's a full-length race, too.
Yeah, yep. It was a long one. The beginning wasn't too bad, and then towards the end, that's when the cautions start to fall. But I absolutely love that track, so it was good to win there.
I tell you what, I mean, I think winning at a full-length race, a full-length NIS race, that's just like a step above winning an NIS race. It's just a little bit better, and yeah, congratulations. That definitely is big.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I agree. And it definitely helped that my number was 20, so it gave me a nice little boost.
Yep, yep. All right, well, very good. Well, thank you for coming on the show, Dustin, and telling us about how you guys met up. That is a very rare instance, I believe. Um, And you're welcome to come on anytime. But we're going to go into topics next. But first, we're going to talk OBRL because we do sponsor their Monday night event. They have the National Series. It was a huge turnout, 43 drivers at Martinsville. ARCA professional driver Kevin Pearson won the pole, but had to start at the back of the field to serve an end-of-line penalty. That put Eddie Ragin' Cajun Jones and Joel Jolly Kilborn on the front row for the start of the race. Patrick Scahill gained the most positions, earning the Hard Charger award. The Cajun led the most laps with 53, but Doug Hess ended up taking the win. Mike Schrader second, Eddie Jones third, Kevin Dillon fourth. Next Monday, Daytona. Greg, you go at 18th to 7th, Chris 11th to 20th, and Groves 26th.
Yeah, my
I'll let
race
you guys
kind
go.
of it was I said qualified all right, but just kind of went south from there. I wasn't that bad at the track. Just the other guys were better, and I kind of have if you're a 25th place driver, Martinsville is a rough track because guys are going to just be sticking that nose down there, and I just played way too conservative the whole race. But 0x for Tony and I both can't at Martinsville.
User
That's what I
was
came
moved
away
out of
with,
your
I guess.
channel.
That was something else.
Yeah, I gotta, say about the same thing as Chris there. This is most definitely not one of my strong tracks, but I felt a lot more comfortable here than I have ever in the past. I did make some good passes, and I think I ended up taking a black flag, and that's what put me further back. I was running up a little higher up, but I'm definitely okay with this finish, especially after how I've been running over the last bunch of races, and to come out of here with a 0x 26. Yeah, I'll take it all day.
All right.
My race was pretty uneventful except for the little bit of contact I had with our teammate Justin. He net coded with a guy, and they basically both stopped in the corner, and a bunch of us had nowhere to go. We bumped into him, and that was pretty much the only event that I had in that race. Most of it was just running up, doing those things that Chris said, people sticking their nose in there. I was getting aggressive and diving in just to make sure I could get in there, but I wasn't coming up on anybody. But I just ran out of laps. It's really hard at 120 laps and not very many cautions. That race goes by really quickly, and it's hard to make up that many positions with a lot of really, really competitive guys that were up front in the top 5, top 6.
Yeah, track position.
Yeah, that's the other thing with that 0x too. I mean, 0x at Martinsville, I had plenty of scales moments during that race. I definitely didn't drive a perfect race, but that's the difference between a good league like that and NIS, where you make a mistake and a guy lifts instead of running you over.
Well, and it was such a short race, there was no fuel strategy, nothing, because once they got to the point where you could go on fuel, that's when everybody pitted, and it was under a caution.
All right, let's get into topics here. Brent McCoy, digging up Charlotte.
Yeah, apparently this past week at Charlotte they had some questionable setup in it. The A fixed. Multiple people complained that on the forums that it was digging in the front splitter, was digging in, especially about halfway through turns 1, and then all the way through turns 2. Someone went and posted up a picture of the telemetry, and it looks like it's all over the place. I'm not a telemetry expert, just going off the past 6 months of dealing with it and looking up race setups and trying to figure out how to dial in cars. This car is definitely, the front end is definitely on the track through throttle, through the center, even on entry, it's hitting a little bit. But there's several people complaining, and I believe in the VRS video for the Class A, Rail Fella even chimed in and said that it was digging. And I'm not really sure why nothing was done of this. But did you guys notice this when you were racing?
I didn't
Yes.
run this one, but
Yeah, was it extremely tight?
Oh yeah. Well, it's tight and then it snaps loose off the corner.
Mm-hmm.
well, who's making the fixed sets right now? I'm not sure I know.
That I do not know. I know Ray does the videos on VRS, but I'm not sure he's the one that's making the setups.
He used to at one point, but he isn't right now, I don't think. Somebody else must be. But yeah, I mean, it's just a wonder why they don't test these or at least do some telemetry on them to see if they drag the ground, or maybe it's the way you drive it. I don't know.
Well, that's what someone had mentioned. They say if you take a more straighter line in, it's not as bad. But I have a hard time believing that because a lot of this has to do with exit and on entry. Like Mason said, or whoever it was a minute ago, said that you get that snap loose, and that's from that splitter leaving the ground. And it's just, you would think they'd put more time into it, but the more I think about it, the more I'm like, maybe they didn't really care because it's season 1. So
Right. All right, let's keep moving. Chris Scales, Casey Kane Racing Partners.
Yeah, it's a tweet from Casey Kane Racing, KKR Dirt on Twitter. Looks like they are partnering with Wicked Cushion to form an iRacing esports team called a KKR Sim Team. And I read into this a little bit. I don't know a whole lot about Wicked Cushion, but it looks like they are all about dirt, man.
It's some kind of sponsor that does apparel, I think, but
Yeah, it's kind of like read their about me part, and it just kind of seems like they're about everything pushing dirt ahead. It looks like whether it's drivers leagues, like you said, brands, whatever, anything to elevate dirt. It looks like they're all about. And it got me. I just said it'd be awesome to see Casey Kane on the sim. I'm sure he's been on there plenty before, but he's got to be on there more now that he doesn't have a real car to drive.
Yeah, I think they have a link here for Wicked Energy Gum, so that might be like kind of part of their store there.
right. What's interesting, it's just like the formation of a sim team with this, sponsorship or tie-in with Casey Kane Racing, but it doesn't really say specifically what they're going to run or if they have something specific plans. They're just going to go sim racing, I guess.
Maybe it was just Casey Kane saying, "Hey, man, this esports thing seems like it might be taking off. I better do something."
He's got a sponsor for it or something, and so that's why he's talking about it.
Yeah, and I think they're gonna mainly run those sprints, is what I gathered from it. 'Cause that's what they've done in the past, from what I see.
Right. And you got to remember, they up the prize packages and all that, for going for pro. And all right, well, pretty cool. All right, Mason, tire model heat reduction in short tracks.
Yeah, so this is kind of an extension on the original post that our friend of the podcast, John Hammer, had up. It was about the tire model and adjusting the amount of impact that heat has on the tires, where they lessened that. And iRacer Matt Rolfe posted that he thinks this is absolutely going to kill short track racing. In his experience, he's ran a league race with the super late model. In the 4 weeks since the change, where they reduced the effect of the heat on the tire by 50%, He said that their tracks like South Boston, Myrtle Beach, Martinsville, where they would usually get an outside groove built up, they were only running single line the entire race. So it definitely affected their league having this tire model not change the tire model, but the reduction in heat.
Yeah. And this is a very reputable source. Matt Rolfe is the owner of SARA, SARA is the name of the league. They are the definitive pavement super late model league. If you're going to be the good, run the good with the good, I mean, this is the league to be in. And so they've been around a long time. He definitely knows what he's talking about. And if he said that this tire tip thing has killed his racing, he's not lying.
And Hammer kind of answered back as well, saying the problem with them just reducing the tire for everyone is there's only one asphalt for each track. So there's really no way for the multiple grooves to work because it's currently heat based. So they kind of lessened the effect of it, and that just took away the lane.
Right.
So that maybe explained, like when we were running the K&N race the other night, the OBRL race, that when you got to the outside, the only thing that affected the outside working or not working was the temperature of the outs, like the actual track temperature that was coming from the environment. It wasn't actually coming from the cars putting down heat then, because the outside got real slick when the sun came out, but most of the race everyone was fighting for the bottom.
Yeah, it could be. It makes me wonder about the A car at California. Is it going to be a one groove race now because of this?
Michigan, all those big tracks.
Right. Well, we'll see. Hopefully, we'll get that new tire model soon. I got the next one, Ghostly Laps. Well, we have a iRacer Daniel Steneman has posted up in the forums. You could search it by doing searching introducing Ghostly. He has come up with this thing where it's a batch file to basically get somebody's lap imported into your system where you can run a lap with your buddy, so to speak, and they're the ghost car. And so I was thinking this would be kind of cool for the 24-hour practice if Greg would run a lap and send me a fast lap, and then I could put it in my system and kind of run a lap and ghost with it and see where I'm losing time. Could be pretty valuable.
That should be an option at some point, if they could create teams aspects of iRacing where these are my teammates and you can
Well, we already have that.
well, we have VRS, but I'm saying like how VRS you can look at the telemetry and stuff of how your teammate's driving. I'm thinking if you have your teammate stuff and then just click on, okay, I want to see how he ran this lap or something like that. I mean, obviously it would take a lot of data. That would be a lot of extra data that's being imported into the sim.
Right.
Well,
No, what I
why-
mean is when you go to sign up for the 24-hour race, we have teams already set up of who's in what car. So it already has some functionality to build a team on the website. Why couldn't you go in there and click somebody's name, like you said, and click his lap and import it?
Yeah, I was gonna say kind of the same thing. Like, why don't we just have teams? Why can't we have, just kind of what they do with the team events? Why isn't that just a thing all the time? Why can't you create a team so you can see each other's stats and what everybody's doing? You do it in every other game, console, whatever.
So anyway, you paste this text that this guy wrote up some code into a notepad. You save it as a BAT file, a BAT, and then you run it, and it basically puts the right files in a particular folder, and then you can send that folder to your buddy, and then he can go and put it in his folder, and then he goes into sim, and then you hit the tab button where it brings up the splits and all that, and there's a way to pick it right there.
It would be interesting to see, because even if like you could take a chunk of a run, like say how we've been talking about the stints, see how you compare over a long run compared to somebody in your on your team too, right? And it's not just one lap.
Right. We should try it. Anyway, this is a tool that this guy put together to make it easier to do these kind of things. So,
That's a good job, Daniel.
yeah, very well. All right, Greg, you got Porsche Pro qualifying series updates.
Now, just trying to get the name. So Hugo Lewis posted the broadcast schedule or information for, I guess, for iRacing Live and the Esports Network. Is it this Saturday? I was trying to find an actual. Is it this Saturday that they're doing it for?
It's already started, I
Okay,
think.
okay, that's what I couldn't find the actual date of when it started, but um, it was just the information. They give the TeamSpeak information as well as I guess paint schemes from Trade and Paints aren't going to be enabled, so you have to send your paint scheme through to their forms page so that they can add it in and approve it, I believe. Also, they just reiterated on the payout um, for the races, but it's Tyler Hudson had kind of made a comment in here that it's still waiting for a final approval for each race wins to be $1,000. So championship standings are still paying 1 through 25 for $40,000 for the winner of the championship, and then Frederick Rasmussen. I guess he won. He tweeted out he's starting 2019 with a winning the highest strength of field I have ever seen in iRacing, 7,794, and it was only a warm-up race. He said tomorrow is the broadcast race. So looks like I bring it up here on the screen, and man, there's some high I ratings in there, and that looks like it
Well,
would have been.
I think that's what it tells you is there's a lot of high I-rating road people participating in this, to get a big strength of field like that. I mean, everybody's got to come out.
There's a 10,000 rating in there.
A Maximilian guy?
Max Benecki?
Yeah.
Sorry,
we've talked
sorry,
about him
Maximilian,
before.
if I got your last name wrong
Yeah,
there.
he's the highest I rating on road, I believe.
That looked like it would have been fun, but I'm sure I would have been miles behind.
So this thing with trading paints, I wanted to go back to that. This seems to be a new thing that's happening with broadcasting. Is they want to not have, because if you just use trading paints on a broadcast, you have no control of what kind of paint they're going to show. It could be offensive, it could be not politically correct, it could be, for no children, no minor kind of thing.
Yeah, like the beer and tobacco sponsors.
The beer, right. And so a lot of these broadcasts just say, okay, well, that if we're going to do this, you have to send it to us. We have to approve of it. If we don't approve of it, we're going to tell you. You have to pick something else. And so, what do you guys think about that?
Well, the reason they're doing that too is obviously the other problem we had on last week's broadcast about F1, taking the stream and stuff. You don't want them to give it a reason to, take over or take it down because,
Right.
You want it to be seen, right? And iRacing, I think they're trying to be, or these broadcasts are being proactive instead of reactive in the event that they don't want any backlash from anything because, it's really easy to, sue, I guess, if you really wanted to for copyrights and stuff, right?
And it could be because Porsche's involved and the money is involved. And
Oh yeah, that too. I mean, that's a big deal.
I'm really surprised that they don't just require a set scheme with you can change certain colors or something on it.
all right, let's keep moving. Tony Groves, forum rules.
Yeah, I guess there's a post put up on the forums asking, I guess, a little bit more clarity as to why one of his posts was taken down. He didn't think he had crossed any lines, but according to Alexander Horn, he said he wasn't the one that took the post down, but I guess another member was called out by name, which is a no-no. So they shut it down rather quickly.
Now, I saw the post that got taken down.
Okay, yeah. See, I didn't see the post that got taken down, so it kind of spiraled out of, like, this conversation on the forum kind of spiraled out for me, and I was having a hard time grasping at
But this
what
is
was
the
going on here.
aftermath thread. But here's what's happened. Here's the real story. Michael Main from Main Performance posted up on Facebook a rant. Basically, he put up a picture of an email he got from a iRacer asking for sponsorship. Hey, I'm so and so. I'm on iRacing and I race blah 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 blah, and I have a stream on Twitch and da da da. Can I'm looking for sponsorship, or I can run your paints and get free sim equipment, or get money or something like that. It's a typical request for sponsorship. And so Michael Main basically wrote this rant kind of thing that basically said, I get these, 500 of these a year, and this is ridiculous that people even think that, they should even be asking for sponsorship when they only have a Twitch audience of 20 and, and blah, 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 and just kind of that kind of thing. And so then there was a forum post, the one that got removed, that basically was showing what happened on Facebook and discussing it. Well, on that forum post, nobody actually called out the word Michael Main, but the company is Main Performance. It has his last name as part of the company name. And so I don't know. Did they take it down because his name was part of the company name, and that's kind of was the discussion, or was it because people were just ranting about him ranting or him actually calling out people on Facebook, basically showing an email of another person?
Now, when he made that post on Facebook, did he was that name shown, or did he kind of block that one out?
I think it was blocked out from what I remember.
No, that name, his main name was, but his username was still left on there. And there's some backstory to this, to where Main Performance PC is now, if this gentleman gets like 5,000 subscribers or something, Main Performance PC is going to donate a whole brand new computer to him. So,
I didn't know that part.
yeah, that came out like a day or two after he had posted it.
So he ended up regretting it sounded like.
Yeah, he issued an apology and everything, and there were some incentives put on there and some sponsoring, I guess you want to say, quote unquote, sponsoring things.
So did iRacing then take that post down because like there was absolutely nothing good that was going to come of it? It
was going downhill, yeah.
Yeah. So
look, man, you take this post down, we'll we'll throw some sponsorship opportunity out there for you.
Oh.
Well, now does that in itself, so if the original post didn't name any names, and it was just taken down because it was, just there was going to be nothing good to come of that post, is there a rule for that?
iRacing does this all the time. They take down posts that spiral downward all the time. It happens almost daily. I get a lot of emails from posts where I get alerts, and sometimes I click on them and it says, this post doesn't exist anymore. And that happens about once a day out of my emails that I go through. So it does happen quite a bit. I think they can do it for whatever reason they want. Some people are like, freedom of speech and blah, blah, blah. But, this is a private company. We're talking about a simulated, software, racing game, so to speak. People need to, quiet down a little bit. It's kind of ridiculous.
Well, yeah, I can see iRacing taking something like that down to for lack of better words, keep the peace. It's there's plenty of other forums where they can have their freedom of speech. So I can understand why they were doing that. Just take away some of the toxicity that happens. Okay, I can buy it, I guess.
And I understand where Michael Maine, wanted to blow off some steam, and he's tired of getting, these emails 500 times a year, and I probably would be the same way, People don't understand how sponsorship works, We're a podcast, and I get contacted by drivers all the time asking if we would sponsor them. And I guess they just don't understand how this works.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess, if you want sponsorship, you got to have something to offer the sponsor. Otherwise, why bother, right? It's got to be a partnership.
If it's somebody like Matt Malone who has a big following and that kind of thing, that's a different story. But if you have 20 Twitch viewers and you're writing an email to Michael Maine, you're not doing it right. I have to agree with him on that point. But the part of him putting it on Facebook and all the aftermath, that was probably a bad idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe just a slip of judgment there, but who knows? Maybe the guy is, starting to get all rude because he couldn't get a sponsorship. Who knows? Still, there's much better ways to deal with that, especially, being a business owner and stuff. You gotta play your cards a little bit more professional than public shaming, I think.
Well, you got to remember, we just did a big story on Michael Maine and Maine Performance. They're starting a big hardware push where they have investors. They're going to start doing direct drive wheels, motion rigs, and other stuff.
Yeah.
Probably would have been better off to just ask to be a tester.
All right, let's keep going. Brent, in the beginning, iRacing created.
Yeah, back in 2004, 2005, back when iRacing was still around, they had the idea of what we know today as the Road to Pro or the Peak Antifreeze Series or the World Championship Road Racing Series and all of that. And in 2008, 2009, they had to make a decision on what days and what times to run these races. And the evenings on Tuesdays and Thursdays, they had always been the most popular for the Oval League racing. And everyone who raced ovals at that time. And Thursday, they say, was prohibited for some real-world drivers, mainly because of what goes on at the track on the weekends. So Thursdays didn't make sense because of travel day for NASCAR and even just your small town local short track. So Tuesday was chosen as the best option. And the Oval Series was set at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, so the U.S. West Coast drivers could make races. And they have carried that all the way through to today's Peak Series. Those still started on Tuesdays around 9 o'clock. And then for the road side of things, that was put to Saturdays so that the drivers could do both championship series. That happens on Saturdays and then the ones on Tuesdays. So that's the history of the championship series and how they got to where they are and where they're at today.
Right. And what's interesting, too, is, one of the reasons it was Tuesday was because Dale Jr. was involved in the races at that time. And he was the leading factor in picking that particular day because that's when he was available. That's the kind of way I read that. But the post is by Shannon Whitmore, who used to be an iRacing staff member. Has been around from the beginning. I understand Shannon now works for John Henry directly somehow, but he doesn't directly work for iRacing anymore. But I always considered Shannon Whitmore the leading historian on iRacing, and he always has answers about what's happened in the past and that kind of thing. And basically, somebody on this post started it asking, well, why are we running when we are running? And that's basically the definitive answers because that's when Junior was available.
Well, go ahead, Brent.
Okay, there's a lot of discussion that's going on in this topic as to why they don't move it to Saturdays. What would your guys' thoughts be on that?
Well, what I was going to point out there too is if you look at iRacing's history in changing schedules, they always get roasted for changing something. There's always going to be the huge discussion of why to do this change and not to do it. If you look at NASCAR in general, they're always on a Saturday or Sunday, and you hear them over the last couple of years talking about trying to get they got that one midday, or was it a Wednesday night they do that truck race at Bristol. They're trying to move nights. It's really hard to change. Like iRacing, yeah, it's only been around for 10 years, but it's probably been, I think the Pro Series 8 years maybe. I'm not sure. Um, but moving that date, you got to create a traditional path to it. You can't just go this year, okay, it's Tuesday. Next year it's Saturday. Next year it's Sunday. Like if everybody knows when they're trying to the other thing is okay, this year it's Tuesday. Everybody's qualifying this year to get into next year. Okay, then they changed it to Saturday, and that guy who got qualified for it was expecting to be a Tuesday, and he worked Saturday. Like that's what it's also too. You don't want to change it, especially with the way the qualifying goes now.
I think it's also that traditional thought of you wish for crossover. I don't want it on Saturday because then the real Cup drivers can't participate because they're running the real race on the weekend. So if we have it during the weekdays, and it's NASCAR and it's NASCAR versus NASCAR eSim racing, what's the difference? Let's have Denny Hamlin come in and Kyle Busch and run with the peak guys on Tuesday night. That's what I would really like to see, is let's have a rotating Cup star come in and run with those boys.
So you're talking about having like a provisional position always open for them to race in, so that you have your
Right.
40 cars and you can move it up to 43
You
with.
want to drive, viewership and people's eyeballs, on the product. I mean, what better way? Or get retired drivers, recently retired, Dale Jr. or Jeff Gordon, those kind of people. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the way I see it too. I mean, if don't do it on the weekends because you want to have it inclusive for everybody, including especially the real race car drivers. Because I think eventually that's where we're headed, down the road. I mean, look at this thing 5 years from now. Don't tell me that the Cup drivers aren't going to be sim racing more. They're going to be doing it more, not less, I would think. All right, Greg, DP versus GTE.
Now this always comes up at all these endurance races, because this happened at the 24 Hours of Le Mans with the prototypes. So I think the big discussion is the difference between, there's not a big discrepancy in the speed between the DP and the GTE 3s and the GTEs because of where they're at. So Nick Nebben is talking about how it's when they would put the field together. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it when they split the fields up for these endurance races. All the DP cars, the top cars get pushed up into the front splits. They don't. If you have like a low I rating, it doesn't mean you can end up still being in top split with the DPs. And then like the last, I think at Le Mans there was 11 or 12 splits. I think split 6 through 12 was only GTE3 or GT3 cars or whatever they are, GTEs in that one. And so you only had all the LMP1s up in the front splits, which means you could have a guy that has a really low I rating and rolling that out. And then another post here from Marcus Schwartz talked about the actual real, as of 2016, what the lap times that they were running at Daytona in those cars, and there's iRacing speeds are a lot faster than what the real world cars were actually doing, about 4 or 5 seconds between each class, and we're a little bit faster than we need to be going with those cars. And they were talking about fixing, boosting the DPE is unrealistic.
They need to slow down the GTEs.
Yeah, they got to slow right. And then this last post was from Tyler Hudson about that they've added some weight to the GTE class, but it's not effective for the 24-hour event. So
what?
It's so weird that why they would make all this when people are talking about so the Porsche 911 has a 0 kilogram weight to it for that class. 4GT has got 10 kilograms extra, and then the Ferrari 488 has 5 kilograms. But none of this is effective for the 24 hours, so they're not fixing the problem that everybody's pointing out.
No, that doesn't fix the problem unless you add weight to all the cars.
But
Well-
how do you practice it separately?
Well, that's the other thing that's so bogus here. Okay, so there's a couple different things going on here. So first of all, the GTE cars are 4 seconds too fast, okay? That's the problem. And so the DP car is very similar to the GTE because of that. And so then you get the slower DP car driver, because there's not a lot of DPs, mixed in with the really good GTE top split drivers, and they clash because they're about the same speed. Or actually, the DPs can be slower than the GTEs in some cases, depending on the drivers. And so that's the problem. And so I've been experiencing this in practice. I'm in a DP. I can't get away from those GTE 3s unless I'm on the straights. And in the past, we used to be able to, I think. And so it's a little bit different. There's something wrong there for sure, I think. And other people in the forums think as well. Then Tyler put out this BOP update, which I think they didn't do it in reaction to what we were just talking about. They did it from some separate thing, okay, that's separate. But why would they not have it affect the 24-hour race? I have no idea. Because so when we go into a practice, we're on the old rules and then, or the new rules, right? And then we're going to go into the 24-hour race and be on the old rules. So what good is practice?
I'm not totally familiar with all the road part of it here with how that weight's going to affect the car. Like 10 pounds on the Ford might really affect it. I don't know what the 5 or 10 are actually going to do. I mean, obviously it'll, people that are working on getting ride heights and getting it to a certain pod, it could put it, you might have to change your ride heights and things like that.
I mean, Brent, you were running the car a couple hours ago, right?
Yeah, I was.
All right. So you were running it knowing that, during the race it's going to be 5 kilograms heavier than when you were practicing?
I wish.
Right. I mean, that's kind of bogus, don't you think?
Yeah, I guess the main question is that we all have, and it's been brought up already, but why? Why can't they make this change? Is it a setup issue, as far as have they tried making this change and then a bunch of other issues popped up alongside of it? Or is it just them not wanting to make that change?
I don't remember this ever being a huge issue when it was the old Daytona prototype. The first one, when we used to do the 24-hour races, because I think it was if it was the prototype and the old Porsche cars that first came out were the classes that were in it. And obviously those are a lot slower, so it makes up the difference. It's the same with the Le Mans series. That one seems like it's speed-wise, it's weighted right, but I don't understand why like Brent's saying there, I can't see why they can't figure out how do you make that car faster, slow the other ones down appropriately. Like it should be, I would think it would be an easier fix. Do you guys not think?
Well, wait a minute. Let me just make sure I understand. So there's a balance of performance needed to make these cars equal. Okay. And they apply it to the IMSA series and the Le Mans series, effective immediately today. But not the 24-hour race that's coming up in a week or two from now.
Same cars, correct?
What in the world? I just don't understand it at all. Don't get it.
So what could, I just want to, what could really happen? Okay, so say there's 12 splits of for the Daytona race. Split 4 has, say, 5 DPs in it, but they're the lowest iRating. Like, say it's like 5 to 1,000 iRating guys. They're not really confident road racers. They just want to be in that car because they like that car. And then they're in the 4th split with probably, I would say, maybe 3 or 4,000 iRating. And those guys, the GTE should not win overall unless all the DPs crash out.
It will.
And that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's a mess. I don't know. I don't understand why they don't put the rule in place for the 24-hour race. But because any practice you do, any official practice you do before that, it's going to be with the rule the other way around.
They also
There's
Go ahead. Sorry.
There's a poll up here. People asking should the new GT balance power apply to the 24 hours of Daytona, and the consensus is yes.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
I
about
think
the only
I would
one
think
that's
so. And
confused.
they're very well. I'm sure there is a legitimate reason as to why it doesn't apply. Like I'm pretty confident that there is, but nobody knows why because nobody from iRacing has come out and told us why.
Well, and the other fact is, why can't they figure out how to split it properly too with different classes? That's the one problem with these main events that keeps happening is they can't seem to get it. I mean, obviously, if it was really popular and you could have one in every split, but or like get it out balanced properly. But because the cars aren't right, a lot of people are gonna not be in that DP.
All right, let's keep moving. Mason, iRacing presence at the real Rolex 24-hour race.
Yeah, so people were asking, will iRacing have a presence there? And Kevin Bobbitt's answer was, we won't have our own booth, but there are several that will be using iRacing,
Sorry about that, people
including
watching.
Mazda
Accidentally
and
closed it.
AMG. The final for the Mazda Hot Lap Challenge is Saturday morning at the Mazda booth, so come on by if you're at the track.
Yeah, I forgot about the Mazda Hot Lap Challenge.
Yeah, I hope they start ramping up some PR for that.
All right, so if you're going to the race, check it out.
This
Chris
might
Scales.
be. Let's hold 1 second here. This might be an interesting question for Bobby Jonas because I believe he's going to be there working this event for the track staff. So, wonder if he's going to have time to swing on by and check this out.
He's gonna have to sit in that simulator and show him how to do it. All right, yeah, check it out, Bobby. Chris Scales, E-Race of Champions.
This one starts with a tweet from Formula One. From sim racing to the real thing. F1 esports stars Brendan Lee, 72, and Enzo Benito are heading to the Race of Champions in Mexico and taking on some motorsports' biggest heroes. And I've kind of been, I haven't been spending a whole lot of time tracking this stuff, but looks like they'll compete head to head in both sim and real life cars. Champion will then join McLaren's Shadow Racer and reigning E-Rock champion Enzo Benito on Team Sim Racing All Stars, where they will compete in the real life Race of Champions against a vast array of talent that includes F1 personalities such as Sebastian Vettel, David Coulthard, Lucas Degrassi, and son of the 7-time champion Michael Mick Schumacher. And out of all that entire paragraph, Michael Schumacher is the only thing that looked familiar. But,
Well,
yeah,
you got Sebastian Vettel is no slouch.
don't know the guy.
David
Yeah.
Coulthard is also was I believe he was an F1 champion as well.
Yeah, so yeah, that's pretty amazing that those guys have been invited to that event and they're participating, racing these real Formula One champions.
Yeah, those cars look like space shuttles or something. Those things are crazy. I guess those are special cars they drive for the Race of Champions.
Yeah, I think it's a car they designed specifically for Race of Champions, from my understanding.
A pretty sweet looking thing.
They're
I
done
haven't heard
indoors
about
too.
any NASCAR people going to this, so I was a little disappointed about that.
They don't particularly ever go to these. I can't remember if
The last time somebody has.
I want to say we've had someone from NASCAR.
Oh yeah.
Like Kyle Busch seems to be the
Carl
one that,
Edwards, I think, did
or
it.
Carl Edwards or something like that. One of those guys I thought did it, but I can't remember.
All right, let's keep moving. Tony Groves, Chase Briscoe, and Cole Custer doing some iRacing in the off season.
Yeah. So they Chase Briscoe posted up on Twitter a little video of him running in his rig, and you can't really tell in the video, but I have to imagine that's Cole Custer beside him. Anyways, they were putting down some laps in iRacing, and it looks like they were just waiting on Mr. iRacing Ty Majeski to show up.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, another part to this is the rigs that these guys are using. these are some pretty serious looking rigs. Full motion, um, and uh, the rigs they come from R-Laps.
Yeah, rlaps.com.
I took just a brief look at their website, and they got a little promo video on there. A pretty sweet looking rig there. I know it's not hardware time right now, but yeah, it they are decent. They move in all the right ways. Looks like they got the sideways movement for slipping around, and um, fully enclosed cockpits. Yeah, look pretty cool.
Yeah, I was looking for a price, and somewhere on this website it says starting at $30,000. And so we were talking about this week on our Facebook thread. Is there a motion rig out there that's worth 30 grand? I don't know, guys. That's a lot of cash.
Well, if my memory serves me correct, and it usually doesn't, but a few months back, I know we were talking about a rig there, and I think it was pushing about 50 grand.
Yeah.
But I think that one came with a butler and a limo.
Yeah, this one is crazy. Yeah, and then, so Chase Briscoe's got two of them sitting there. At least we can see two of them in one room from this company, rlaps.com. But yeah, I wasn't too impressed by the website. They don't really have a lot of information. Like you said, they got a video. They got some. It looks like they're from Indiana. It is full motion from the way the video looks. It looks like a real racing seat. Really good hardware is what it looks like. But wow, 30 grand.
They could be the spokes. Maybe there'd be a spokesperson for it. Maybe they're testing it for this
Well, that's
company.
why they're tweeting about it. Yeah.
But and I was looking through the pictures here. It looks like there's one picture of their shop with like the real racing seat, but it's like all custom welded metal. So it doesn't look like it's adjustable if you get it. Like it looks like it's whatever it is. Or the seat might be adjustable, but nothing else is.
And also interesting, the rlaps Twitter page, which is _rlaps on Twitter. Their banner picture is a 5-monitor setup, and so instead of triples, you have 5. Now, how do you do that? You wonder. Well, what you do is you take your regular monitor that you'd use for a triple, and you stand it on its side, and you get 5 of them, and you make a half circle out of them.
It looks really cool. You know what they really need though is those prisms so that you don't see it would really inverse it. It would almost look at like a projection screen.
Yeah, the seams are kind of noticeable, like you said, but the beauty about this setup is the vertical FOV, guys. With this kind of setup, you would see the dash when, unlike on a triples, you can't see the dash because the vertical FOV is so limited. But with this, when you do 5 monitors, you'd be able to see the dash and everything. Yeah, I mean, you'd have a really good view.
You might see your
No.
pedals and everything.
Would you need an extra graphics card?
Well, I don't think my 1080 Ti will run 5, will it? I don't think it has 5 holes.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's probably not the graphics part problem. It's the actual plugins for it that are going to be the big problem.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Well, and that's the thing. So do you have to have 2 of them in SLI, or I came from a commercial audiovisual background at work back in the day, and there's hardware boxes that will split up a signal into 5 screens that you can get commercially that will do these kind of things.
So that's like what they do with like Titantrons and things like that for like sports arenas. So that would be maybe
Right.
You could use that aspect this way too.
Yeah, something like that, exactly. Like a digital signage application. But yeah, check out their Twitter page and get a gander of those 5-screen setup. You don't see those very often, but they're such a good idea because of the vertical FOV.
I don't think I ever would have thought of turning a screen on its side.
Yeah, I haven't seen this in a long time, but they are very rare. But it is a great idea, like I said.
That's kind of funny. I used to actually have a monitor that you could turn from landscape to portrait and it would automatically flip. Now it was nowhere near these sizes, but yeah, that's a
These are
pretty
like
cool idea.
27s or 32s, maybe.
Oh yeah, I would have to say 32s for sure.
Those are freaking, yeah, those are like a 32.
All right, let's keep moving. I got the next one. Friend of the podcast, Kevin O'Keefe, does a video with Marcos Ambrose, who used to be a NASCAR Cup star, and I think he's back down in Australia running Super V8 cars.
Sorry
and
about the
whatnot.
ads, people.
But Marcos apparently contacted Kevin, and they put together some kind of how to drive a road course kind of video, where Marcos gives some tips about it. And so Kevin hit us up and asked us to talk about it. So I thought we would. And did you guys see it? He did. I kept part of it at the beginning where Marcos was talking about he had a lot of response from the first video they did, and so he was wanting to do a second one.
For an official race, congratulations.
I think I listened to his podcast, and it kind of sounded like it's something they're wanting to keep doing. Like it might be one or two, and he's trying to make it into a series, which would be cool if they could do that.
I'm just pleased I can.
Then the link here seems to be to Oval Tips at Kentucky for the A car. So
online racing, so
pretty cool. Check it
I
out.
really enjoyed it, and I thought the
All right, you can find him at Rutgers Kev on YouTube. You can also find him on iTunes too, I believe. All right, Kevin, good win there, getting Marcos on the show. All right, Brent, iRacing swag.
R&R Enterprise has released some Christopher Bell iRacing Chili Bowl t-shirts and basically just some swag that you can go ahead and order. These actually look pretty cool. There's some decent ones on there. There's some koozies, some posters and all this. So if you're interested in getting yourself some Christopher Bell back-to-back or the Champ is Here, it's a John Cena reference right there. It's Christopher Bell gear from R&R Enterprise and representing the upcoming Chili Bowl. Check out R&R Enterprise on Twitter, or you can go online and check out their website.
They also have some Kyle Larson McDonald's paint scheme on here with the iRacing logo up top.
Yep, and iRacing is very well represented between the two of them in here. So basically almost everything that has Christopher Bell on it, iRacing is represented fairly well. So
yeah, well, they're sponsoring him for the Chili Bowl, so he's carrying the iRacing colors. I really like the hat, the trucker hat.
Yeah, he's got a lot. There's a lot of nice gear on here. They've got some stuff that's on sale, so if you're looking for some cheaper stuff, they have that on there also.
Yep. So yeah, I hope to watch the Chili Bowl. I'm not going to pay for it. I'll probably watch it on some pirated stream or after the fact on Facebook or something. But yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how Kyle Larson runs. He's going to win it, man.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting event. I was just looking on the Chili Bowl website, and there's 300 plus, 350 plus entries for that Chili Bowl.
Whoa.
Yep.
When is it?
This coming weekend, I think.
Oh, is it this weekend?
Yeah, it's one of those ones I've been kind of thinking about racing, and it's one of those things with iRacing where you just never seem to know when that kind of stuff's going on unless you go out digging for it.
All right, Mason, as smooth as Max.
Yeah, so we got a Twitter post up here of Team Redline Sim Racing. Max Verstappen's taking a lap in the Roval in the F3, and it's a world record lap. He did it in 1 minute 4.436 seconds, and he also went a little bit quicker, but it seemed like he used the DRS for that. So yeah, it's cool to see him on the sim and setting world records, even in the sim.
Now,
Well, it kind of shows that he belongs where he is in his job, right?
Oh yeah.
well, did you guys notice how far and how confident he was that it was going to stick, even coming back up the banking? Like, he was probably an inch away from the wall on every spot that he could possibly take. He was taking all the track that he needed.
Oh yeah, like coming up onto the banking right before, he almost clips that wall. I'd never get even close to it.
Well, and it flat out through the bus stop thing that they got back there with the turtles. Like, man, that thing must
Yeah,
have
he
some
didn't
grip.
even lift. Yeah, Max Verstappen is an animal. But yeah, there's a video. It's put up by Team Redline on their YouTube page, and he is part of Team Redline. So, all right, Chris Scales, top 10 highlights.
Yep, looks like we next we have December's top 10 highlight video from iRacing. As always, it's fairly impressive,
Sorry for
although
the
this one
ad
was a little
again.
bit lackluster compared to some of them. I mean, most of them have been just insane. This one was there's a few that weren't all that impressive. Maybe it's just an off-season thing, or maybe we're not sending enough videos. Send some more videos.
I think it's just that the other ones were so great, they just can't top them.
Yeah, yeah. There was a couple of decent GRX ones in there. Giant pile up of one dude sneaking through, and there's another one with they had, I think it was the number 2 video, is a guy just pushing a guy to the checkered flag, which was I've seen it. But I think maybe 5-ish, there's a guy that was stuck on his side in a GRX car, and somebody stopped to push him back on his wheels, so he keep on going. I don't know if I've seen that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought the one with the guy pushing the dead truck to the finish line was kind of lame.
Yeah.
Because technically that's against the rules.
Yeah, and like I said, we've always seen it. So yeah, we just need to send more videos. That's what it is.
Yeah, so send your videos to Alex, guys, and let's get him some good material.
The only one survived one cracked me up, because that's so true.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, we've all seen that, right?
Is it just me, or over the last couple of these top 10s, they've seemed to pick on a theme? And this one kind of had like the 3 wide, 4 wide battles as the theme.
Yeah, I couldn't really tell what the theme was. Maybe it is 3 wide thing, or side by side. Because a lot of these videos are about side by side, but then they get to the part where he's pushing the guy to the checker and it doesn't really fit in.
Well, I gotta throw one up there for number 9 with the street stocks, and Buddy weaving his way through that massive wreck. They put his stream they kept the stream in the bottom corner with his reaction as he's realized he's made it through. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was better than the actual miss. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one actually. So yeah, he got the big like wow, and hold his fist up to his mouth and is biting it. All right, Greg, we had a patch today. What do we got?
So it looks like they just brought out a quick patch for some quick fixes. So I'm sorry, I'm just trying to bring up the link here. It's not opening. The beta UI practice sessions tabs added an official series time of day reference table, leagues now available to boot members correctly, paint kit
This whole
saves
list
correctly.
is the beta UI stuff.
Yeah, so that's all part of the beta UI. And then what do you got? If the rendering for the NVIDIA 3D part has been fixed in iRacing, I guess there was a patch for that.
Remember the clouds were funky if you were running 3D?
Oh yeah, that was what, last week or the week before?
Right.
NASCAR pit stops, I guess there was a couple things fixed on it. It's fixed buried tires, so I guess that was in the cement or in the asphalt they were going in. Chat got a fixed issue when changing from @team to transmit command. DRS count added to telemetry for the Renault, so I guess there's a certain amount of, I've never looked to see what the actual amount is, but I guess it's now on the dash. You can see it for the Renault 3.5. The Dallara F3 brake upgrade and a Chili Bowl they upgraded to stop people from using the berm.
Okay.
And then I guess there were some other fixes to the IndyCar's pit stops as well today.
The big one, I think, is the Porsche. Look at that.
An update has been made to the V6 tire construction and compound. These changes should provide faster response without losing over-the-limit controllability.
So they're doing an on-the-fly change to the V6 tire on one specific car.
So is that because of, say, some of the racing that's been going on with that Porsche series? They've noticed something?
Must be something related to that. Because nobody was driving that car before all this. So, yeah, I found that interesting that they changed the tire on one car. Now, remember when they did the temperature change that we talked about before? That was all the cars at once.
Yeah, so they must be, if they're must be finding stuff out in the V7 or the version 7 of the tire model and kind of putting some stuff in just to try and either maybe test some things out or see if it solves problems with the V6 right now until the V7 comes out.
I just wish they'd tell us what's going on with the tire.
Yeah, I kind of get the idea they're like bridging the gap. That's kind of like what the heat thing was. That way, when they're seeing where the V7 is going to be, and they're trying to make it so that when we go from the 6 to 7, there's not this huge difference. Kind of the way I take it. Well, other than this Porsche thing, that's a whole different bag of worms. That's just weird.
I feel like they're throwing darts at a wall here.
Have they ever done that? Just changed the tire on one car like that?
Not that I've remember. No, I don't remember that.
I think I remember back in the day when they brought the tire model, like from the original tire to the finally calling something a tire model. I think it only went on one car, but then there was less cars in the sim at that time as well. Because I think it went on an oval car and it really upset the road portion of iRacing.
All right, let's keep moving. Tony Groves, safety rating in a nutshell.
Yeah. What was it? Nick Neben put up this post with a couple of videos basically explaining how the safety rating works. Definitely a good watch for somebody new and coming into the sim, or somebody that just doesn't understand the how the safety rating system works. It's two small videos. They're both just a couple of minutes long, but they're visually nice, and they're explained really well, very clear. I think he did a pretty darn good job on the videos.
Yeah,
what do you guys
one
think?
commenters didn't understand the videos, but I thought he did a pretty good job. I mean, the first one is a visual representation of corner per incident and how it builds up over many races, and that's how you can't compare your safety rating from one person to another. Why did he get safety rating and I didn't? And I had less incidents than he did. Well, it's because of how you did on the previous 9 races.
So that's something I never knew for all the years I've been here. That's something new to me right there, just listening to that. Because, you have one, you think you're going to have a couple good races in a row, you have some bad ones, and then I have one good one, you're like, why is it not so good or whatever? So that makes sense now.
Yeah, because it's built up over a bunch of corners, more than comprise that one race you're in. And so if your previous 9 races are real bad and then you had a good race, it doesn't mean your SR is going up.
Kind of have to earn the trust back of the system.
Yeah, and then the second video kind of talks about how it intertwines with the licenses of rookie, D, C, B, and A. And when you get to the B and the A, it takes more corners to affect your SR than it did when you were a rookie or a D car. And he gives it in a visual way to kind of give you an idea of how that looks visually. So I think the videos were good. I think Nick Neben did a good job on them. I follow Nick. He actually is a source for a lot of our stories on this show, and I do appreciate that. But yeah, I want to give him credit where credit's due, and I thought these were really good videos. You guys can find them by searching the forums. Search the word safety rating, and you'll find it.
And here's a tip, too, for anybody that's wanting to race the 24 hours. Run 4 or 5 hours and try and get 0 incidents, you'll be guaranteed to go to a 4.99. Because there's so many corners and the amount of time, you'll definitely
But
be
in a
upgraded.
team event, I don't think you gain SR or IR.
Yes, you do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, you gain it based on the IR won't be much. Like, it's because of the distance of the race. It still acts like it could be a 5-lap race or a 24-hour race. It's the same type of IR system, but the safety rating is still based off of your corners per incident. So, like when we did Phil and Mike did the 24 hours of Le Mans, all 4 of us went up to a 4.99 after that race finished because of the amount of corners you have to do in that race.
All right, cool. All right, Brent, Flagman donut break.
Yeah, real quick one here. iRacing, there's an issue with the flag man at all the flag stands. I've noticed this over about the past month, it seems like, where the flag man is just standing there. He's chilling. He's having coffee, like you said, eating a donut. I don't know what he's doing, but his job
Not
is pretty
waving a
much
flag.
yeah, his job is pretty much pointless without that flag in his hand. So iRacing's aware of that, and they are in the process of fixing that.
Okay. Mason, hot lap hump day.
Disconnected.
Gosh.
User
in
your
Miami
channel
Lakes,
is recording.
Florida, and join them for some sim racing, fun, food, and
Sorry, everybody.
beverages. And the best part, it's free. So check out their Instagram post for the Hot Lap Hump Day Championship starting next week on, let's see, that is Wednesday. And also, that championship that's starting on Wednesday, you can do it not at their place, you can do it online. And it's at 9:30. It's from 6 Eastern to 9:30 Eastern. You
Sorry
can
for
set
who's
one of
watching
the
there. It
fastest
kinda got
laps
screwed up.
at whatever track and car combination they decide. They don't release that until the event goes live because they want everyone to have a fair shot. Some events might have open setup and some might be fixed. So it's a real wild card. And they're doing the full year championship with that. So it'll be exciting. Any of you guys going to check it out?
I think Justin, our teammate, said he was. He's the one who told me about this, and you can sign up at rickmotech.com. Why? Justin bought a Rickmotech rig, guys, this week. Did you guys see the picture?
Yep, looks cool.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, he got a nice little setup there. He didn't tell me how much he paid for it, but he sent us some pictures, and it looked really solid.
Yeah, and you have to sign up before the 16th, and you have to, if you want to go for the championship, to win $100 in Rickmo bucks to be used on any products available at Rickmotech. You have to purchase a minimum of $100 worth of Rickmotech items by July 1st.
Oh. All right, very good. I got the next one here. We got a Twitter from at iRacers Lounge from a listener, basically begging for help for one of his iRacing buddies. It was at Danovich, and at Danovich put up a YouTube video as well about Richie Ryan, who's a good friend of his, and Richie Ryan is battling brain cancer, and he's actually went into surgery January 7th for that. And his family is trying to raise some money for medical expenses. They did a GoFundMe. If you go to GoFundMe.com, search the word Richie Ryan Family Fundraiser. Richie is with an IE at the end. You'll be able to help those guys out. Anyway, I don't know Richie Ryan, but apparently he's very well known on iRacing by a lot of people, and we've been sending out our prayers and thoughts to him. All right, Tony Groves, Bird Box Challenge. I don't have any idea what this is.
Okay, well, this is absolutely awesome, and right on the heels of everybody knows the movie Bird Box came out, and what that whole deal is. So, the guys at Chip Ganassi Racing, the pit crew, decided, well, everybody's doing this bird box challenge. Let's do it. Let's make this happen. So they do a pit stop. Everybody is blindfolded, and the video is absolutely awesome. I'm quite surprised that they were they did really, really well. Minus a bit of a slip with the jack, did a little bit of damage to the car. But other than that, these guys were still pretty quick, completely blindfolded.
They got the 4 tires on, but then the car fell off the jack or something.
Yeah. It's unbelievable, really. I mean, how these guys do it without blindfolds that fast, with that kind of precision. To watch them do this without being able to see what's happening, it was pretty cool.
Quick enough that we couldn't beat them. I think they're faster than what we could get it done with blindfolds on than what we could do without. But it's pretty quick.
If you watch oh, go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, well, what became of that is that tweet by Chip Ganassi was iRacing tweeted out, well, hey, how about an incident-free lap in the sim blindfolded?
Well,
what do you guys think? Is it possible?
I should try that, but I have a feeling too many people are going to start trying. This bird box challenge thing is probably not a good idea to start with, depending on what people are going to do. All these challenges that have popped up on the internet or on the Twitter and all these vines and stuff like that back then. I don't want to see a bird box challenge with people driving cars.
Is this bird box really new? Haven't we had this in the NIS now for years?
Oh,
yeah, it's all bottom split.
So Chip Ganassi Racing did reply back to iRacing's challenge. They put up a picture and they said, hold up, calling our boy real quick, and they show a picture of calling Kyle Larson.
Is it
he can get it done or something?
The one thing I noticed is I questioned it for a second there. I saw the one car with the monster paint job, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right, Kurt Busch is driving it.
Yeah.
So, how long till we see in the hosted section the bird box race?
The bird box Daytona 500.
No cautions, of course. You got to be blindfolded, and yeah, that should work.
Blindfolded with your spouse on the behind you telling you what to do.
No, go right. Hit the brake. All right.
Well,
that's
if the old bastards put that race on with a 9 incident limit, that could make things real interesting.
First corner, all 9 incidents are used up by everybody.
It doesn't look like anybody on the Twitter thread has actually reported that they completed the challenge.
No, that's a lie. There's one guy said he did the center point incident free.
Oh, the centrifugal?
Yeah.
All right, Greg, next one. Tifosi Daytona test race.
All right, so we're going to throw up a server here. I guess teammate David here is going to throw up a server on Sunday afternoon Eastern time for, where did he put the time here? 4 p.m. Eastern. We'll start the warm-up. We'll start at 4 p.m. Eastern. He's going to set, it will be 30 minutes practice, 2-lap qualify, and a 3-hour race. So the sun will be set for 8 times. The track will not keep up with the weather like it would in the 24-hour race, so we'll just be mindful of that. Anybody can come out and race with us, Tifosi and iRacers Lounge guys. The server's public, but we don't want any excessively dangerous driving in there. We will kick you. But come join us 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. And also David and I, and possibly we'll see if a couple of other members from Team Tifosi here will also be putting up a tutorial video for Daytona on the ins and outs of how to deal with the 24-hour race and what to expect.
Greg, that's this Sunday, the 13th, correct?
Yes. Sorry about that. Yes, it is.
Yep.
Thanks,
Just
Brent.
clarifying.
Okay. How we all doing? I know we've had a lot of practice. The DP car, we've been meeting the last couple of days during the day, getting laps in. And we have a strategy, a schedule. I know you guys are tweaking the schedule today. Are we good?
Yeah, I think we're gonna be all right. I know today there was about 7 or 8 of us that were on here in the afternoon that were racing it, doing some practice and stuff. So over the past week, I know a lot of you guys have been getting in here and practicing, and the schedule I think is finally coming together pretty well, and it's almost set in stone. So we got a week to go.
Now, the other thing too, we were just before we went on, started recording here. We had a discussion about the incident limit again at the 24 Hours of Daytona, and Mike, you had brought up we would talk last week. It was 200, and then somebody had brought up you had seen people saying that it was possibly 240.
Right.
So I searched a whole bunch of things here when we first started the podcast, and I have found that they have updated that Drew Adamson's post has been updated about all the stuff that for the 24 hours of Daytona, and it says 240. It's been updated from what we had last week.
Wow.
And
That's a lot.
if you want to listen to how that happened, you can actually listen to that Rutgers Kev podcast that we mentioned earlier. His last podcast was basically the conversation between Alan and other iRacers discussing the incident limit. He has kind of eavesdropped on their Discord there. So if you want that, yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess it's not something I would have done, but it was cool content. So yeah, man. If you wanna hear it, check it out there.
240. Okay, so we did the math. I ran 2 field runs, and on one field run, the first one, I had 13 incidents or something, and I was trying pretty hard, but I did the math on that. Okay, 6 people, I'm going to be doing 2 runs, blah, blah, blah. And I calculated if everyone did the same amount of incidents I did over one field run, we'd be at 150.
Well, you're looking at 24 an hour now. So, that's a lot of incidents per hour.
That's a lot. Yeah, I just feel like 240 is way high. I think 200 was a bit high, but I thought 200 was a safe place. I'm kind of surprised they went to 240.
I'm thinking they're just trying to make these special events more accessible. Like, they don't want, if somebody came in and saw, okay, 50 or 100, they might be scared and not even try it. Maybe they're just trying to get participation up, and maybe them driving it up a little bit further might, maybe they get another 100 people sign up because they had another 40. I don't know.
Well, stop the howling on the forums.
That too.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was going to say, didn't there used to be no incident point limit, and they were howling because there was no incident limit?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, it's always one thing or the other. You know how that goes. That's the way social media is these days.
People just want to be heard.
All right, talking about social media, we still need a manager at Tifosi Racing to help us manage all our social media. We're also streaming live like crazy, if you guys haven't noticed. We also need a league manager, so we're recruiting at Tifosi. If you're interested, hit us up. Let's jump into hardware software. Brent, Project Doppler pedals.
Yeah, Philip Jansen van Rensburg wants to make a set of pedals using Titan 900 pedals. He's currently making them with the Doppler Series 9620 base. He's using the Titan 900s because it uses a floating master cylinder on the brake and the clutch. With the pedals pivot on ball bearings for a smoother transition, and the brake is bigger in size than the other two, which is my personal preference. I like the brake to be larger. Pedals are the most critical component on your sim rig, especially the brake pedal. If you guys are interested in checking out this build, go on the iRacing forums and check out Philip Jansen van Rensburg's build. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's otherwise known as Beano, and we often quote him as a source as well on this show. He is definitely an expert when it comes to hardware. And scroll down, guys, and look at the base plate that he has selected. That thing is a monster. I mean, it's 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick. I probably guess it weighs 80 to 100 pounds.
I dug through this a little bit. Did he ever post on here how much he ended up spending on parts for this? I mean, it's an awesome pedal set. I'd be curious to see where it stacks up
I
to
don't
like
think I've
the
seen a
main
price.
PC. Yeah, just do the math. Do the work on your own, I guess. Yeah, just do the shop.
I don't think, Bino is one of those guys where the price is not a consideration. Everything that he buys is like top of the line.
Yeah, he lists everything all out, nice and easy. So yeah, it won't be hard to find the parts. You can put part numbers, I believe.
Yeah, he's got links and everything.
You mentioned that base, and I just lost you. Where was it? He said the base is weighs 16 kilograms and is approximately 20 millimeters thick.
How many pounds is that?
2.25 times 16.
35 pounds. Okay.
Yep, 35. Yeah.
It looks like it could be heavier. It must be like a lightweight metal.
Yeah, I don't think it's going anywhere.
Oh yeah, massive too. All right, let's keep moving. Mason, the NVIDIA 2060.
Yep, looks like we got a GeForce RTX 2060 coming out pretty soon here. I believe we said January it's coming out.
Next
January
week.
15th, yep. And they have a Twitter post from Club Signage that has a graph from, looks like their presentation at NVIDIA.
That's CES.
Yeah, and it shows that the 2060 is comparable to the 1070 Ti. It looks like it has on the graph a tightly grouped data set that is right in line with the 1070 Ti, and one outlier that's above it. So it looks like just an updated 1070 Ti. It's going to be $350 with performance pretty close to the $400 1070 Ti. So if you wait around, you might find some used 1070 Ti's on the market if people decide to upgrade.
So $350 for the new one. The 1070 Ti is $400, so it's to compete with that.
And you get Anthem and Battlefield 5, or one or the other for free with it.
Well, and the other thing is they're probably using this too to combat against whatever AMD comes out with too, right? Trying to be in a price point where they're going to be at.
Yeah, I would say so.
I hope AMD beats them to the ground. It'll teach them for overpricing their garbage.
Yeah.
They're smoking garbage.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. You know, they come out with the 2080 and the 2080 Ti at these astronomical prices. And now they have this card at $350. I just don't understand the flow of their technology, products.
Yeah, I don't understand the big jumps between series. Like even when they had the 10 series stuff, they jumped so fast price-wise from each one to the next one.
Right.
And it just, you got a 1080 Ti that could be $1,100 or $900 to $1,100, and then you got a 1070 you can get for like, $500, $600.
All right, so it says it's able to do a 1440p resolution as well as deep learning super sampling. I mean, it'll be a nice card for $350. If that's your budget, this would probably be the card to get. I don't know. What's in between this one, though, and the big expensive card? So that's what I want to know. They're like there's like a big old hole in their product lineup.
And AMD's going to fill it.
There you go. All right, I think you're right there, Chris. All right, Greg, real GT3 Porsche race wheel.
So Mark Crooks posted up a picture here of a Porsche, like a real rim from a Porsche GT3 steering wheel here, and okay, so he's got a button box attached to it. They got the hub, and then when I click the link here for the eBay thing, it's down now, eh?
Yeah, he's the guy who actually bought it too.
Okay, I mean it looks
if
like
you scroll down, he'll say that he actually put in the winning bid.
It's a really nice looking rim. I like though. I guess it's suede around the outside of it. It's a pretty simple rim with a nice button box for and a quick release for. I guess then you got to attach it to whatever you're using. I guess.
$800 he got it for.
And then there's someone on here that was talking that the guy sees this every day, and those rims usually are around $1,800 for those cars.
They got a deal.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I look at it, I'm not like super impressed. I mean, I'm more impressed with some of these sim wheels that we've been looking at the last several weeks. I mean, they look better than this, to tell you the truth.
I think that the thing that people are like going all crazy for is the Porsche part of it, because even I think
It's made by Porsche.
yeah, it's it's an actual Porsche product. It would be the same if you got like a Ferrari steering wheel and stuff like that. It's the branding part of it that people are going crazy for.
It's got the Porsche logo right in the middle there.
And it's authentic, right? It's not the replicated.
Right. It's been used in a real car, a real race car kind of thing.
And a GT3 car is not, and the Porsche GT3 is not a slouch of a car either.
Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, we talk about using real world wheels like Max Pappas rims and in oval. I guess this is the way to do the same thing on the roadside. All right, I got the next one. Force Dynamics 401CR. Their website is force-dynamics.com. And I tell you what, guys, this is the creme de la creme of motion sims. You might have seen it on Facebook over the last year or two. It's the one where it will turn in a 360-degree circle. It'll move up and down, sideways, left and right, every which way. And they got a video of it with triples, the monitors, the cockpit, everything moves. You got full motion. And this is not full motion like we've been talking about with regular motion rigs. I'm not kidding when it will spin in a full circle.
Tony, if you were in this race, was it last night? You would have been dead.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the video, he does donuts. Check that out.
Yeah, the drop of the nose whenever he brakes gets me.
Right, he hits the brakes. His feet go down, actually.
That is such a crazy setup, though. That it just looks amazing.
Well, you can buy it on eBay right now for 20 pounds, 20,000 pounds at eBay UK, United Kingdom. So ebay.co.uk, search Force Dynamics 401CR. And you'll see it, 20,000 pounds, and it's for sale. So I have not seen these for sale in the wild, really, until I saw this one.
So you asked the question, is it something really worth these prices that are at? This one I feel is closer to actually being worth what it's being
this one's
put out
worth
for.
20,000 pounds. Absolutely it is. Now, was that one that Chase Briscoe was on that we saw? Is that one worth 30? No, I don't think it is.
Not when you compare it to this.
Exactly. This is the real deal here. I mean, you can't get more motion than this.
Does it come with its own vomit bucket?
Where do you put the PC?
Well, I read somewhere on this material that the video's transmitted wirelessly.
You could probably mount it anywhere on. You can see, like right under the seat there, you might be able to put it on its like laying down if you had to.
Yeah, but do you want a
Destroyed.
PC being
No, I know,
turned
it's
around
true.
in a circle?
Got jerked about, yeah. It's got to be down in the base. But it did say something about wireless video, so.
Yeah, you don't see any wires, but they could be hidden somewhere.
Is that platform part of it, like what it's rotating on, or is?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's even a more like. I don't even want to know how you would get this shipped to your place.
Oh, this is freight. Yeah, this would be more than $1,000 easily.
This is coming on a transport truck.
Yeah, this is the real deal, guys. I don't get bigger and better than this one. And yeah, if this one's 20 grand, how's that other one 30 grand? I have no idea.
I can't wait to compare this to some of the stuff later on, some other people's rigs coming up on our thing here.
All right, let's keep moving. Chris Scales, GS5 seat reviews from beta testers.
Yeah, and more good info from Bino on the forums. He was actually one of the beta testers for the Sim Experience's new GS5 seat. He wrote, he's been in a few motion setups before. In his honest opinion, I'm not so sure where motion fits in now with the release of the GS5. It's that good. The sense of speed is even better with the GS5. I've been so lucky to be part of the beta test team, and everything I'd hoped for as an improvement of the GS4 has exceeded my expectations. The whole team at Sim Experience hit it out of the park with this new seat. And that's just a small excerpt of what he wrote. He seems to have nothing but good things to say about the seat. Jared Krinsky, he's another one of the beta testers. Joe Sullivan asked him on the forums, is the GS5 more comfortable than the GS4? Jared wrote, the GS5 is a proper race seat and fits like a glove. The GS4 feels like sitting on a park bench in comparison. Just sitting in the seat is worth the price of admission before you can even turn it on. That's a lot of good praise for the new seat.
Yeah, and when
Might not
Bino
yet.
says he's not sure where motion fits into the picture now with the release of the motion seat, that's big, guys. I mean, he's basically saying that the motion seat is better than a traditional motion rig.
The problem with, I guess, the thing that with motion is there's so many different versions of it, and now you got this version added to it as taking the aspect that most people might be able to purchase too, right? Like if you think of it, that's on an 80-20 setup that he's got there in the one here, and just the seat, and it makes it more capable of having motion with anything you want.
So when that last cockpit we talked about, the Force Dynamics, that's the ultimate motion simulator because it spins, it goes up and down, sideways, left, right, everything. It does everything, okay? So I think that's the ultimate. And then the traditional motion rigs that we've been talking about in the past, where they kind of shift you to the left or shift you to the right, or they move the seat a little bit, those are the ones I call traditional motion. And I think the seat is better because it provides pressure against you as you're going through a corner, through the entire corner. So like in a traditional sim, when you go into a left corner, it'll kick your butt out to the left a little bit, but then that's it. And the experience, the motion part of it is over. But you're still in that corner for another 3 seconds. Well, if you're in the seat, that flap is pushing you into the back and pushing you into the thigh through the entire corner of that 3-second corner. And so you feel sustained motion with this motion seat.
It seemed like it lasts longer too. Now I'm never going to spend $20,000 or $30,000 on a rig, but it seems like when you have all those moving parts and pieces and the hydraulics, it just seems like it wants to break to me. And you're gonna have to get a hold of these little companies that build these giant rigs to get the thing fixed. It seems like
or worse, they're gone.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like this is the way to go for sure.
Now the Jared Krinsky who put up pictures, that rig you mentioned is an 80-20 rig, but look carefully, Greg. He's got D-box motion on the 4 corners of that.
Yeah, but it's he's got extra stuff added to it, but that technically could just be sitting on the ground. You just have the seat too, right? Like you can mix and match with the seats on any setup you want. That's the versatility of the seat portion of this stuff. Like some cockpits or some things are limited to what you can put on them seat wise or motion wise, but a seat is more flexible sometimes because you can build rails or whatever to hold a seat into whatever you got, right?
Right. Like I could get a GS5 today and bolt it onto what I have and be done. It'll mount to any cockpit. Anywhere you can mount a seat, you can mount this GS5. I'm just enthralled by this product. I think it's the next revolution in sim motion experience, and that company is called Sim Experience, and they have a pretty good product here. It should be going on sale very soon. We don't know exactly when. They did release the non-disclosure on the beta testers recently, so that means that going on sale will be next.
It almost feels like the beginning of force feedback, doesn't it? Where like you don't need this thing to have to race, but if you really want the immersion, you're going to want that force feedback.
Yeah, 10 years from now, this might be a standard, right?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so let's go to the other extreme. Tony Groves, you might be a redneck.
Yeah, you might be a redneck, all right. Well, yeah, let's I don't know how we put it, shallow our pockets a little bit. We're talking about all this big budget, big spending, lots of money. Let's take a trip to the other side of the moon and let's go for cheap and functional. Functional is the key. So this one, Seth Whitaker put up a post, and actually he was looking for some answers as to why his brake bias wasn't working with his setup. Now, I swear this guy spent more time on his graphic pointing out what all his buttons did than he did actually putting this together. But kudos to him, because what we're seeing here is it looks like it's a G27 wheel, and he's taken his Xbox controller and
Lashed it.
Absolutely.
He needs duct tape to hold that on.
You know what? I give a pass with not seeing any duct tape on this, because he's using twine. And that is just a great substitute. So if you got duct tape, you got drywall screws, and you got some twine, you can do just about anything you want. Absolutely brilliant. You got all the extra buttons that you need. I love it. I wouldn't use this because it's Xbox controller. I don't have one, but a PlayStation controller, yeah, I could rig that one up. So I saw this, and I got a little inspired, and so I posted a picture of my button box. I'm not sure if mine's actually redneck enough.
Wait,
No,
this is actually yours?
You don't have any twine.
I don't have any twine, but I do have drywall screws.
This is real life, your button box?
This is the one that I use.
Kudos to you, man.
With the exquisite labeling system that I have. And I'll be honest, the ones that don't have any labels, one of them is for right side tires, and I believe it's the one underneath the clear pit. The other two buttons, I don't even know if I programmed them. I might have, I may not have. I just kind of got lazy and was like, well, this works. I'm good. But this one here was like, cost me, I think, a total of $23 or $24 Canadian. Start to finish build, shipping, everything included. It hasn't failed me.
Could you at least cut the labels into like squares instead of?
No.
Hey, they're square-ish.
Squarish, okay.
Yeah, they all got four corners.
Okay. Yeah. I just love the twine. I mean, he just basically lashes his Xbox controller to the front of his G27 wheel with twine. Not some nice string, but like frayed twine that you'd wrap a box in or something to ship.
Like something you found on the side of the highway, down the ditch.
What I don't understand is I know he has it wrapped around the center part. What's the little part at the bottom? Like, why did he have to go underneath the rim and around? I don't know, but it just, the only label he's missing on here is actually the label that it's an Xbox or the twine and stuff like that, just so that it's a complete build.
Yeah, so the picture you're referring to for our audio listeners, he made a nice picture of the wheel, but he took the time to label every single button on the controller and what its function is. And it's a pretty impressive graphic, but I don't know about the controller thing.
I'm looking at his graphic. So I actually use an Xbox controller as a button box, and you'd be surprised how many of these buttons are mapped the same on mine. And I held my controller up. I was like, man, all I'm missing is tying it to the steering wheel, but unfortunately my steering wheel just isn't big enough in the center. It just doesn't fit quite right.
Well, the other problem is, I know I have a G27, and when you boot, the computer, it spins to the left, it spins
Yeah.
to the right. What about the Xbox cable? I mean, how does that work?
As long as he's got I guess as long as he's got enough leash on it, it probably isn't a huge problem.
Got to have slack.
That's probably
No.
the extra twine was the controller went flying the first time he had it turned on.
So do you want to take, that $250, $200 for a nice, pretty looking button box, or take that $200 and put it towards your next graphics card or, CPU, whatever the case is? This is perfectly acceptable. I mean,
Yeah.
why not, right?
This would be an interesting workaround if you bought a real world wheel until you got your button box in. You could use this.
Yep.
Well, and you
There you
can, and you can get. I'm looking online here. An Xbox Rim, I guess it's 30 to $50 Canadian, depending on what you want. So you could get one of these. It's not as much as a button box.
Oh, you mean the controller? No, that's not even an Xbox One controller. That's a 360 controller.
That's what
You
I'm
can
looking
probably
at
pick
here.
that up.
It's
Yeah, you
26.
can pick that up for nothing. Yeah.
It's showing 26 Canadian. Sorry, that's not
Probably
American
have
for
a
most of
buddy
our
sitting
listeners.
have
We
one
did
sitting
a
in the
garage
drawer.
sale.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep moving. Let's talk about some league events. Online Sim Racing Association. Tony Rochette had major connection issues. No, nothing new there, Tony. Sorry. You had a 30-something finish, but Mason Stiver, you got third with 2 stage wins.
Yeah, it was a good race. One of my teammates in there, he was in lead, and the guys outside of him squeezed him up, so they wrecked everyone in front of me, and I just went straight forward for the stage win. The other one, I had to stay out on fuel, and we got the stage win there. And then at the very end, I was coming up onto the top 2 cars, and I had to decide who I was gonna basically push to the win. I could go low or go high. So I chose the high side and finished third.
Yeah, I actually watched this race, and I watched your ending of your event there, and you had damage too at that point, and you were still up there in the top 5, and like you said, you had to make a choice. You didn't have the track position. They did, and it was all about who were you going to pick to push, and you picked the guy on the outside, I believe, and
Yep.
and he won.
Yeah, someone on pit road had decided to drive into the side of my car. Or truck, rather.
Right. All right, and then Podium Esports Street Stocks, Brent McCoy. Tell us what's going on there.
Yeah, we since we ended the podcast last week, I hadn't had a chance to watch the race from the week before. Over the past week, I had a chance to get back out there and watch it. No race this week for the Street Stock Series, although there is a bunch of action going on. And if you're listening to the podcast live right now, check out the Podium Esports Twitch page. They're running their elite standings in the A car, which is the highest of high strength of field for their cars. Just to give you a general idea on how popular I think this is getting, their Podium Esports Elite Class A car, strength of field 4,769 for tonight at Daytona. So check that out. They got a full 40-plus car field. Some of the drivers that are in there, you got your pro guys, Logan Clampett, Devin Sierra. Who else we got in here that I'm just going down the list, checking them out. Michael Guest, all of those guys. Yeah, it's pretty impressive the amount of drivers that they got that came off of this in the strength field. Even their silver division is like 2,500, I think I read. So the next street stock race for myself will be on the 23rd at Lanier. So looking forward to that in the next week. Probably going to start practicing. So
Yeah. All right, cool. Let's get into final thoughts. Brent McCoy, what's up?
yeah, not a whole lot going on over my end. Again, just getting ready for this 24. I've got a major series race coming up, I think, here in the next week or two for the 2.4 at Daytona road side of things. So also starting to work on that.
All right, very good. Chris Scales, final thought.
I want to give a shout out to Jordan Worth and the bottom split night in America guys. Ran in a Raced Daytona with them last night, kind of they ran it to shake the bugs out before NIS starts up, and they start doing bottom split night in America again. But I would definitely check them out on Twitch. I believe he changed his name to just Bottom Split now, but yeah, NIS season will be starting soon, and check them out. Oh, and also I believe they're having a Bud Shootout type of race before Daytona. I think they're going to run the trucks the week before the start of the season, so I guess around the 6th or so. It'll be just like the NIS Open on a Wednesday night. Should be at 9 Eastern, I believe, if Jordan doesn't get stuck in traffic again.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I watched you and Tony Groves run that. And I got to say, Chris, you made some monster moves up front to take the lead a couple times and led some laps there before you got taken out. Tony got taken out as well, but that's kind of expected since it is the bottom split. And then I was mortified at the end, the way the guy who won the race, he just took the guy out to win it. I mean, he was on the outside. They're coming to the checkered. He's like side drafting the guy, so he's kind of pushing him down. And the guy moves down so the guy doesn't hit him, and he gives him room, the guy at the bottom. And he keeps moving down, and he keeps moving down, and he gets down below the yellow as they're coming to the checker, and the guy on the outside just keeps pushing him down, and eventually just takes him out and just hooks his bumper and puts him in the wall and wins the race. And I was just like, wow, that's how you win a race?
Yeah, there was a lot of uproar after that. I listened to the stream, and I think they really didn't want that race was for $30 in iRacing credits, and I really don't think they wanted to give the guy the money. It's like, man, that was the dirtiest thing. But yeah, it was absolutely, it was blatant. Just that, I mean, he, like you said, the dude went all the way down the apron to avoid him and still gets wrecked. But they didn't have any rules, and so he got his $30. But he's going to be racing those guys in NIS this year, and I don't think he made any friends.
Nope.
Well, and he's got to race them all the time now if he's going to be racing that series.
And you know who it is, right?
Oh yeah. There's a couple of guys that have similar names that race very, very much like that.
All right. Greg Hectus, final thought.
I'm actually looking forward to this week's race for the OBRL, Old Bastard Racing League, because I hope having teammates Chris and Tony, and I think Justin's going to be there. We're at Daytona, so we're really going to have to work together to get a finish out of this. I've moved into the top 5 in points, so that's good for the last 3 races of the seasons if I can stay there and race for the championship. But yeah, just looking forward to that. And anybody that wants to follow me can follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/frozencactus. Frozen with 2 O's, cactus with 2 K's. So I hope to see you guys out there, and wish us luck for the OBRL on Monday.
All right, get it. Mason Stiver, final thought.
Yeah, I bought Rockingham this week because the A car is there, and at first I hated the place, but after running an open race there, it's a lot cleaner than I thought it would be, and actually it's growing on me. So.
Is it bumpy?
Oh yeah. If you were in that rig, you'd be up and down.
That going down the front stretch at Rockingham, it is up and down, up and down. It's like a roller coaster.
Yeah, with that being said, I want to give a shout out to our teammates here at Tifosi Racing. You guys have been helping me and Mason build these splits in the off season. I know he and I, we greatly appreciate it. So let's keep up the good work.
Oh yeah, you guys are doing a good job. You're doing the hard work, so keep at it. That's a good practice for the season coming up. All right, Tony Groves, final thought.
Yeah, well, last week I was really bummed out over my my racing performance as of late, and I really don't want to jinx myself, but last week with not worrying about where I finished, but how I raced. It really felt like I was able to hit that reset button, so I'm really hoping I can continue that trend going forward in the Old Bastards League. And one other thing about that bottom split race we did last night was my actual finish, and I'll post it up on the on the iRacers Lounge Facebook page. The video that I shot, it's really crappy video because I just pointed my phone at the screen. I didn't save the replay like a dummy. But But the amount of barrel rolls and hang time I got crossing the finish line and actually gaining a couple of spots in the end, it was a lot of fun, and I was kind of thankful I wasn't in VR for that.
It's the hang time that was impressive. I think you made it all the way across the entire front stretch on one bounce.
It sure felt like that.
I was just thinking if he was in that other one that moved around, that would have been an interesting flight.
All right, very good. My final thoughts. Yeah, we got on Spotify last week. We got 40 downloads on Spotify so far, but the big number is 11,000 is our number over the rolling last 90 days. And so when you measure podcast, it's measured over the last 90 days gross downloads, and we're at 11,000 on a rolling continuous basis. And so I got to thank the listeners for that. That's as high as it's ever been, guys. So please spread the word. Tell everybody about the podcast. When you're in a race, mention it to the other racers. There's a lot of new people, guys, that need information, and we're the guys to bring it to them. So let them know. I would appreciate that very much. As far as my racing, I've been kind of mixing it up. I did some 24-hour testing, but I'm not doing as much as everyone else because I'm just not really a practice guy. But I did do some. But I've been doing rallycross. I actually won a rallycross race last night. I'm feeling kind of competitive over there. I'm getting some finishes, but it's been fun. I'm doing some SRF, the Spec Racer Ford. I ran that at Laguna Seca. Finished third, I think, so not too bad. And this random stuff, Delara Dash, Pickup Cup, and having fun. So typical off-season stuff. But I'm ready for NASCAR. I'm ready for the Daytona 500. Let's bring it. And with that, we'll see you on the track. Later.
User in your